So, about 5 years ago, I started on this journey in medicine trying to figure out how I could, instead of treating patients with an endless cycle of medications, help them to actually get healthy. Sounds like a profound concept in healthcare, right? But I went on this journey of looking to see what was available, what kind of certifications I could get as my role as a PA in a family medicine office, and I stumbled upon lifestyle medicine. And in today's podcast episode, I am having a conversation with one of the lifestyle medicine experts in the field to help you to understand that when you go to your healthcare provider, you don't have to just succumb to taking medications to fix the problem. And actually, it's not fixing the problem, but there's a better way, and it's evidence-based, and it's amazing, and it's really taken me on a journey to work with my patients in the office to get out of the cycle of being on medications to actually really change their life. So I hope you enjoy this conversation today with Sheila, who is also a physician assistant. All right, let's get started. Hey, welcome to the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, where we believe that you can go on a journey to lose weight for the last time. I know you've tried all the things and you may not believe me yet, but when you do weight loss the Kingdom Fit Moms way, everything changes. You're in the right place if weight is constantly on your mind, you're confused about food, you're missing out on memories, and maybe even putting your dreams off for another day because this weight struggle is no joke. We're a community and we're on a mission to invite God into this weight loss journey so you can shed the burden and shine your light. I want you to start living and believing in the version of yourself that heaven sees. Let's get started. Hi, Sheila. Welcome to Kingdom Fit Moms. It is such a privilege to have you here to speak to our audience today.
Thank you, Kelsey. I'm really happy to be here.
Yay. So tell our audience about you and what you do.
Well, basically, I am a lifestyle medicine specialist, PA, and people might not know what that is because it's not super popular, but I focus on optimizing someone's lifestyle, and I work in typical clinical setting. So one is a cardiology practice and another one is a primary care practice. And then in addition to that, I'm also a professor, but I'm here today to talk about what I do in clinical practice.
Love it. So just so we can get to know you a little bit better, I love to ask my guests 3 things that you're loving right now in life in general.
One would be brewed cacao. So I have taken a liking to this new habit. Basically, you need a French press and some ground cacao, and it has a very nice, even focus increase versus a caffeine, like a coffee or tea that will fly you up and you're really focused and on for a while, but then you have a crash. There's no crash with cacao, and it's totally, health benefits, comes in different flavors, and it's just kind of a cool experience to brew a cup for yourself and, indulge.
I just tried this for the first time at a friend's house, maybe a week ago, and I was totally impressed because it's kind of like a cup of hot chocolate, except not as sweet, and it's delicious.
Yes, and it's, I think, about 10 calories for the flavored ones for a cup. And so it's not like hot cocoa in that respect either.
Yeah. Love it.
So that would be my number one thing that I'm into right now. Number 2 is strength training. I feel strongly that all women should be working out for strength. And I've been trying to commit more regularly to that. I'm pretty faithful with 1 to 2 times a week, but really want to be consistent with 2 and sometimes 3 without getting injured.
Nice.
I would have to say the third thing is probably animals. We have a cat, and we have also been fortunate to have found a fox den near our house that we've been watching with a nature cam for the past month as the little kits have been born and the mother fox has been breastfeeding, and we've just had a lot of special experience with following that over the last few weeks.
That's so cool. Do you live out in the country?
No, which is really interesting. There's a little bit of woods behind my house, but I'm in a suburb outside of Washington, D.C. So
Oh my gosh.
this is weird for us. That's why we're so engrossed in the story of these foxes.
I love it. So you'll get to see what happens to their little clan.
I did learn that and you may not know this, maybe you do, that foxes mate for life. So mommy and daddy fox will be together and they will raise these cubs or kits. They're called either one. And then the babies will leave in July or August and start their own dens.
I did not know that. I've learned something new today. Love it. Very cool. Well, for those of you listening, I wanted to bring Sheila on because lifestyle medicine has been a big part of what I have fallen in love with healthcare and shifting the way that I did things with patients before I started my own coaching business. And I think it's really important. Everybody listening wants to be healthy, wants to lose weight, but I want you to know that this exists so that when you are seeking out a healthcare provider, you can ask them about if they have anyone around who practices lifestyle medicine. So Sheila is really an expert in this, and she's one of the go-to people that I have found online as I've done my search within lifestyle medicine. So here she is to share all her wisdom. We're so happy to hear from you. So maybe first, Sheila, lifestyle medicine, it's really an emerging field of medicine. And I know obviously you're really passionate about it. So can you tell our audience, first of all, what is it and why is it so important?
I actually think it's been around for a long time and it's just emerging as an actual recognized practice. Because if you think back to like the nurses in the war and different time periods in history before, like when we even had traveling doctors that took their little black bag from house to house in Little House on the Prairie, for example, I think I would call that lifestyle medicine. They were addressing holistically the needs of a patient. And we've gotten away from that. And now I think lifestyle medicine is kind of re-emphasizing that. So there are 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. These are official. They're nutrition, exercise, and then what I call the 4 S's. So it's NESSSS. The S's are stress management, substance minimization or cessation, sleep, and social connections. And so we really we dig into and question and talk about all of those areas in a person's life and address optimizing each of those areas. And we find that when we do that, a lot of chronic diseases are starting to reverse. We can prevent chronic diseases. We can improve chronic diseases. I mean, obviously, this is not your number one go-to for an infectious acute disease, but this is really for preventing chronic diseases that I don't think we were meant to experience.
Yeah. And the cool thing about being a part of like American what is it? ACLM, American College of Lifestyle Medicine, is that I think when I say emerging, it's like now they are proving this, right, with science. And before it was kind of like, oh, poo-fooey, let's just treat with medication because we have data. But now there's more and more evidence that if we can fix these lifestyle pillars, you can, like you said, not only prevent, but reverse disease.
Yes, there's definitely data and studies going on in the diabetes space, prediabetes and diabetes, where they're putting lifestyle medicine up against metformin and other medications and standards of care, and finding that while the medication may be helpful to reduce your A1C, maybe an average of 1% per diabetes medication, with lifestyle, you can usually get at least 2%, if not more. I can tell you, I worked with a patient with type 2 diabetes who did not want to go on medication, and the A1C when on diagnosis was 11%. And I was hesitant. I was like, ooh, we may need medication. Like, this is really high. And this person was just adamantly opposed to anything and said, just tell me what to do with my lifestyle. And they actually weren't even interested in adding exercise at that point in time. So we had to make some pretty drastic nutrition changes and sleep and stress management. And we were able to bring it down to 7 from 11, just that.
Amazing.
So 4%, yes, with just basically diet.
Yeah, it takes a willing patient for sure, right?
Yes.
But that's very impressive. Do you have any more stories about practicing lifestyle medicine and how it's really changed your patients' lives?
Yes, I have tons of stories. It's a matter of how many to share and which ones people might relate to. I will tell you a story of somebody in my cardiology practice who's very outspoken about lifestyle medicine. And she says that the cardiologist I work with and myself have changed her life. She came to us basically not exercising. She was very stressed out as caregiver of a child at home who needed a lot of care and didn't have time to take care of herself. So she had developed prediabetes and obesity and a little bit of hypertension as well. Basically, a lot of chronic diseases were creeping up, and she came to our cardiology practice because she knew about our reputation as being able to help people. And she said, look, I don't have time to start exercising right now, and I don't even feel like it, but I need to reverse what's going on. So she was also on medications for her diabetes. And some of them didn't make her feel good. So I said, look, here's the one medication I'd like us to have a goal of getting off of. And here's what we need to do with nutrition in order to reach that goal. So we talked together. I found out what she likes. This doesn't involve a boilerplate plan. Like you don't just come in and I say, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then, that's it. You reverse your chronic disease. First of all, it's really personalized. So this requires a conversation and learning really about each person and where they are and what they're willing to change and what they're willing to work on first. So she was willing to work on nutrition, and she actually made some major changes in her diet where we were able to get her off of the medication that was making her feel kind of sick and tired, literally, and still maintain her with pretty decent blood sugar control on the one medication. She continued to keep up those changes, and over time her child ended up getting better care, so she was able to take a little bit more time, and she started adding some walking. So on top of her nutrition changes, she added the walking, and she started seeing some weight come off, and blood sugars continued to improve. And long story short, she just ran like a 10K. She started exercising. Her diabetes is reversed. She's on a very low dose of one like pre-diabetes medication at this point, but she's doing super well. I want to say she's lost about 60 pounds. Her cholesterol is normalized, and she says the biggest thing is her energy level, that she just has so much more spunk in her day, and that those medications that she was taking were like Band-Aids that were covering up the condition or helping it not to get worse, but that they weren't really making her any better. And I think that's where lifestyle medicine comes in to help people get better. I explain to my patients that lifestyle medicine is like when you go to a tree, you can either work on the branches and the leaves and make them look good from the outside, or you can work on the root system and fertilize it and water it and make sure it's getting appropriate needs. And that may take a lot longer time, but you're affecting the health of the tree from the inside out, which is permanent.
Yes, I love that. We talk a lot about digging up bad roots, and sometimes it's stuff that's been planted in our heart. But I think I just love that analogy in so many ways. And I think another thing that I love that you're doing with your patients, it can be easy to dive into all the weeds of, even going a functional medicine route can be helpful in some cases. But this is very simple, right? It's the way that we're just designed to be and to live. And until we master these pillars, like we probably don't need to be going down all these other rabbit holes of trying to figure things out. Let's just get a healthy tree, right?
Right. Like the pillars are all common sense things. And most people know that I should be eating well. I should be moving. I should be not feeling stressed. I should be maximizing my sleep, quality and quantity. I shouldn't be overusing substances to escape from things or make myself feel better. These are all very easy things to understand, but difficult to actually put into practice, especially if we're very far off in all of them.
Yes. So you also emphasize the point that it takes a personalized approach, and it takes doing these things step by step. And I love how your patient story was about her starting with the nutrition, because that tends to be the most important initially for disease reversal. Would you agree as far as your experience goes?
Yes, I agree that nutrition is also usually the most quickly changeable. You know, I really believe exercise is medicine, and I would argue that exercise is super important, and that sometimes starting an exercise program motivates somebody to make better eating choices, right? So I've seen that happen too, but nutrition does have a huge effect.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of times I have worked with women who will say things like, diabetes runs in my family, hypertension runs in my family. And a big part of what we are encouraging moms, especially to do, is to change the legacy of health in their families. So do you have any advice, just from your experience, for women who are on this journey of trying to change their lifestyle, not only for them, but for their legacy as well?
I have a lot of families that I see in the cardiology practice that this is an kind of a right outside of an inner city area in the capital of my state. And we see a lot of things that are passed down through families. And I say that I like the lifestyle medicine saying that says that genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. You can live with a loaded gun, but never pull the trigger, right? Because you're making healthy lifestyle choices, so that gun never needs to go off. And I'm sorry to use a gun analogy, but that's
No, I
one
get
that's
it.
given to me. But essentially, we do have genes. I don't think everyone realizes that genes can be turned on or off with our lifestyle behaviors. So for example, you and I could both have a gene for a negative consequence, but if we choose to eat lots of leafy green vegetables and fibers in our life, then it keeps our gut microbiome happy. And then that gene never kind of goes rogue and expresses itself in a way that is dangerous or negative for us. And yes, it can still be passed along, even if it's not turned on in us, but we can keep those negative genes suppressed with our healthy lifestyle behaviors, which is super cool and empowering, right? Because if you feel like your grandmother had this and your mother had this, or, you know, there's generations who've had this chronic disease, you feel like almost like there's nothing I can do. Like I'm a victim. I'm bound to get this. And I don't think that's true. I've never seen that to be the case. I've seen people who come from generations of diabetes or obesity or heart disease, and those people with lifestyle medicine have worked and prevented or reversed the condition. So I don't believe that 99.9999999% of cases are doomsday. You know, you have to end up with this.
And sometimes it's just good to hear that, right? Because again, that's the way, unfortunately, that our healthcare system has often worked. Like we look at someone's family history and we see them develop diabetes or high blood pressure and we say, oh, well, let's just treat it. But for those of you listening, like you can stop that legacy. Like you can unload your gun, or I forgot exactly how you said it, but
yeah, just put the trigger lock on. So the trigger has to go.
Yes. And so it takes a decision to get well. It takes a decision to work on all of these pillars, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's encouraging to be reminded of.
Yes. I mean, there's patients that we have in cardiology whose grandfather and father both had heart attacks at young ages. And you see the male come into the office and he's worried because now he's getting close to 40, which is when everyone else had it. Well, yes, if you have a history of your family having early age heart attacks, that there is a strong genetic influence on that, but we can get ahead of that with a healthy lifestyle and maybe also a preventive medication to go along with that, because just, you know, some high risk things, you need a preventive medication that there's evidence that helps too.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's why it's nice to have a personalized approach, right?
Right.
Love that. Cool. Well, Sheila, thank you for sharing your wisdom today. Would you mind telling our listeners where they can find more about what you do with lifestyle medicine and helping men and women get well?
Sure. So you can find me at mrfinstitute.org. That's for the Medicine Rehab Fitness Institute. This is a project that I'm pretty passionate about. I'm working with two other lifestyle medicine enthusiasts. One is a physical therapist and the other one is a kinesiologist, which is an exercise professional. And we have a passion to provide exercise information to make exercise efficient and effective for people, because we believe it's being underdosed, and then people get frustrated with it. They don't see any progress and they give up on exercise. So it's a little exercise project we have going on. That's a great way to contact or connect with me, as well as to find some free resources on the website, that mrfinstitute.org. That would be a good way to connect if people have further questions or want more information. I would also say that you could probably Google New Start. This is something that I found powerful when I found it, and I use it with patients. So New Start is an acronym. It's a nice thought that I'm making a new start for my health, and N is for nutrition, E is for exercise, W is for water and hydration. So thinking about these three things every day. And then start, S is for sunshine. Am I getting my vitamin D? Have I gotten some sunlight today? That boosts our mood. T is for temperance. Have I overindulged in anything, or am I practicing moderation in all aspects of my life? A is for air. Am I getting some fresh air on a regular basis? R is for rest. Am I getting adequate sleep? And the last letter, T, is for trust in a higher power, something to nourish our spiritual side. So I really like that acronym, New Start. And I think, a lot of my patients will put it on a little index card and post it somewhere where they can think about it every morning. So I would leave that with your listeners, that if they want a little boost or a new start, that this could be something they could also practice.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, we'll link those down below. If you're listening and you want to check out more about what Sheila's doing in lifestyle medicine, you can also just Google lifestyle medicine practitioners in your area. And I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening into the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Hey Fit Mom, if this episode blessed you today and you can think of somebody else who's struggling in her weight loss journey, would you consider sharing this week's episode with her to give her a sense of hope? And then while you're at it, hop on over to our free Facebook community, Kingdom Fit Moms, for daily encouragement and support. Let's go shed the weight to shine the light.